What if I told you that today's matchup could literally flip the entire Group A standings upside down? Welcome to the Explainer. We're looking at a massive FIFA World Cup clash right here. Czechia versus South Africa. Both of these teams are absolutely desperate for points. Seriously, a win today puts them right back in the driver's seat, but a loss? Well, that makes getting to the knockout stage incredibly difficult.
So, who's actually going to grab the wheel and take control of Group A? A lot of folks are already writing off South Africa. They're calling them the underdogs and crowning Czechia the heavy favorites. But come on, we all know World Cup history is practically built on massive, out-of-nowhere surprises, right? South Africa is coming into this with crazy pace, unbelievable energy, and literally nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Czechia is bringing that top-tier European experience and honestly, one of the most lethal strikers in the whole tournament.
Let's talk about the immense pressure these guys are dealing with today. Both of these squads suffered really tough defeats in their opening games, so it's basically do or die to survive the group stage. Czechia fell to South Korea. They actually created a ton of chances in that match, but they paid the ultimate price for defensive mistakes, especially when dealing with raw speed. And then you have South Africa. They showed some phenomenal defensive discipline in their opener, but man, they really struggled to hold on to the ball for any meaningful stretches. Dropping points today is simply not an option for either side.
All right, let's move right into Section 1, expected squads and lineups.
Starting things off with Czechia, we're expecting them to roll out Mate Kovar in goal, sitting behind a very physical back three of Chalupek, Hranek, and Krejci. The midfield brings in Kufal, Sojdka, Soucek, and Zeleny, feeding an attack of Provad, Schick, and either Pavel Sulz or Adam Hlozek. The two massive names you absolutely have to watch here, Tomas Soucek and Patrik Schick. Soucek brings that essential leadership and set-piece danger from the midfield, and Schick, the guy is a terrifying prospect for any defender. He can finish with both feet, he dominates in the air, he is the total package.
Over on the South African side, look for a super disciplined, compact five-at-the-back setup. We've got Ronwen Williams in goal. The backline is Madao, Mokoena, Sabisi, Bokazi, and Modiba. In the midfield, it's Mokoena, Botha, and Adams, with Lyle Foster and Akron Reyners up top. Bafana is going to be leaning heavily on their captain, Ronwen Williams. His reflexes between the posts are just world-class. And up front, they've got the blistering pace of Lyle Foster, who is primed to stretch that Czech defense on the counterattack.
But we've got to mention a massive hurdle for South Africa today. They are down two incredibly experienced midfielders. Themba Zwane and Sepela Satole are both suspended. Losing those two guys, that's a huge blow. It essentially puts the entire weight of the world on Teboho Mokoweena's shoulders to step up and somehow control the tempo in the middle of the park.
Moving on to Section 2, tactical battles to watch.
Tactically, it's a classic clash of styles. Czechia's game plan is straightforward. They want to utterly dominate the ball. They're going to push their wingbacks high and just rain crosses into the penalty area, hunting for Schick. South Africa, on the flip side, is totally fine absorbing that pressure. They're going to sit in a deep defensive block, stay tight, and then spring out fast and hard on the counter. Honestly, the first goal in this match is going to dictate everything. If South Africa manages to strike first, Czechia is going to be in a very uncomfortable spot.
Let's break down the key individual showdowns, starting with Czechia's Patrik Schick against South African defender Nkosinathi Sabisi. Here's the thing about Schick. He only needs a split second, half a chance, and it's in the back of the net. His movement inside the penalty box is going to relentlessly test Sabisi and that entire five-man defensive line. If they give him even an inch of breathing room, it's game over.
Battle number 2 takes us straight into the engine room, Tomas Soucek versus Teboho Mokoena. This is the duel that will probably decide who actually dictates the flow of the game. It's a fantastic contrast, really. You have Soucek's raw physical power, aerial dominance, and big-game European experience going head-to-head with Mokoweena's non-stop mobility, energy, and his critical passing vision.
And the third battle? This one highlights exactly why South Africa's counterattack is so dangerous. It's Lyle Foster up against Ronwen Williams. We already know Czechia has a habit of struggling against pure pace, and Foster has speed for days. His direct running could absolutely shred Hranek and a Czech highline that, let's not forget, got caught napping in their last match against South Korea.
All right, Section 3, strengths and weaknesses.
When you look at Czechia, they bring overwhelming physical dominance to the pitch. Their core strengths are a huge aerial presence, a midfield packed with experience, lethal set pieces, and a truly dangerous striker. But they do have cracks in the armor. Like we mentioned, they definitely struggle against raw speed, and they've shown a tendency to make some pretty costly defensive blunders under pressure.
Now juxtapose that with South Africa. Their strengths actually match up perfectly against Czechia's flaws. They've got lightning-fast counterattacking speed, a really disciplined defensive shape, unbelievable team spirit, and a brick wall of a goalkeeper. But their weaknesses today are glaring. Being severely depleted in the midfield because of those suspensions is rough. Add in a lack of attacking depth and the fact that they'll likely spend 90 minutes chasing the ball, and it's a tough mountain to climb.
Let's get into Section 4, match prediction and final verdict.
So, what do the numbers say? Factoring in squad quality, player availability, and overall experience, Czechia are the clear statistical favorites. We're looking at a 58% win probability for them. But don't count South Africa out. With a draw sitting at 25% and a South African victory at 17%, a major upset is definitely still on the table. If they nail those quick transitions, South Africa is more than capable of wrecking the stats.
The expected possession metrics really back up our tactical breakdown. Czechia is projected to hog the ball for about 60% of the game. South Africa, sitting at 40%, is probably going to be perfectly content letting Czechia pass it around while they wait like a coiled spring for the absolute perfect moment to launch a counter.
And the expected shots comparison paints the exact same picture. Czechia is anticipated to put up a high volume of attacks, generating around 14 expected shots. South Africa, they're projected at just 8. It's a classic setup. Czechia is going to be constantly knocking on the door, while South Africa will have to rely on being ruthlessly clinical with the handful of chances they do get.
If we're picking players who are most likely to break the deadlock today, keep your eyes glued to these guys. For Czechia, you've got Hlozek and obviously Patrik Schick. In fact, we've got Schick pegged as our expected man of the match. For South Africa, our dark horse prediction is Lyle Foster. Look, if Bafana manages to find the back of the net, you can almost guarantee Foster is going to be the guy making it happen.
Bringing it all together, here is our final predicted scoreline. Czechia 2, South Africa 1. Look, South Africa is going to fight tooth and nail. They're going to stay competitive, and their defense is incredibly resilient. But missing those key midfield pieces is probably going to be their undoing late in the game. Czechia's attacking depth, their European pedigree, and the sheer finishing quality of players like Schick should be just enough to edge this out and grab all 3 points.
But hey, this is the FIFA World Cup. Literally anything can happen on that pitch. So, what do you think? Will Czechia's precision get the job done, or is South Africa going to pull off a massive shocker and turn Group A completely upside down? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop your exact score predictions and tell me who your match hero is going to be right down in the comments below.